Thank you. Survivor, Mrs. Cheri? Okay, like Paul, I have notes. Don't panic. It's large font and a lot of double spacing. All right. Again, the standard greeting is good evening, cancer survivors, caretakers, family, friends, and participants. I am a 13-year breast cancer survivor. I'd like to thank Queen Kathy and the Relay Committee for the opportunity to speak to all of you tonight. It's a delight to have been chosen as Queen for the 15th Annual Sun Prairie Relay for Life. It's also an honor to serve on the court with King Don, who I've known for several years. He's an umpire and he watches me play softball. Remember, 2 weeks, you're the umpire. And also Queen Jane, my new breast friend, Prince Paul, friend and co-worker, and darling Carly, who is sitting in the back. My journey with the Relay for Life began 15 years ago. I remember walking around the football field on the other side of the hill over and past the school with my young children in tow, pulling them in their little red wagon. We were participating in memory of my father and their grandfather, who died from lung cancer. I have not missed a year since then. In years to come, 6 more family members would die from various types of cancer, including my mother. In 1998, while I was undergoing my biopsy for breast cancer, my family was attending the funeral of another relative. My children were 29, 12, and 7. They only knew that the word cancer related to death. My goal was to prove that cancer can be beat, it's not a death sentence, and you can survive this dreaded disease. Each of you survivors have dealt with cancer in your own way. Many of you have probably dealt in many similar ways. For me, I wanted to stay positive and upbeat for the benefit of my children and my family. My approach, as my husband will say, I was full of attitude. My dad, for many years, I was kind of a rebel, always advised me many times when I was faced with a challenge that I would never back down from a challenge. Now was not the time to start. Those words echoed from heaven with my breast cancer diagnosis. Cancer is not a joke. However, there was a moment, well, a few moments, that I added humor to my disease, and I took full advantage of the situations. Several stories come to mind, but if I tell you all of them, we'll be here till next Friday. So I'll just share a few. My first was when I went to my surgeon to find out about the surgery for the biopsy. I said to her, if you need to, take them both. He doesn't need them anymore. She laughed and she said, don't worry about it. As I started to lose my hair from the chemo, there was finally a moment that I gave into the fact that I was going to be bald. So on January 1st, 1999, while showering, the Nair hair remover was calling my name. Yep, I lathered up my head and waited the time recommended on the bottle. But my head began to tingle, and I thought, oh no, what did I do? Well, it was too late, so I just let the process continue. As I rinsed my head, I could still feel some strands of hair, so calling my husband, I reached through the shower curtain with his razor, and his response was, what? I stuck my head through the curtain and said, finish me up. The look on his face was priceless. That same day, was my holiday family reunion in the Badger and UCL Rose Bowl. I'm a Badger fan, but just to annoy my uncle, I wore a UCLA sweatshirt and a Badger baseball hat, covering my slightly red head with rash. It worked. My uncle was fully annoyed. My prematurely balding cousin was so happy that he had more hair than me, so we took pictures. I chose not to wear a wig during my hair loss. My collection of baseball caps and a variety of hats, and for people who know me, usually when I am not at the bank of Sun Prairie working, you'll see me in a baseball cap. But it exceeds the amount of hats that my husband and my two sons own together. I love my hats, so I chose to coordinate my headgear with my outfits. It was obvious I was without hair even when wearing something on my head. So when I was in public and someone would stare at me, I would just respond, "Bad hair day." I got some fun looks and I got some questionable looks. On the more serious side, there was a day when a gentleman approached me and asked if I had time to talk to his wife. I was in a retail store. She had just been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and was concerned about losing her hair with chemo. Her hair was beautiful, long, blonde, and curly. She and I sat and talked for close to a half an hour. We exchanged phone numbers. Within a week, I received a phone call from her husband thanking me for taking the time to talk with her. It was very comforting for both of us. Unfortunately, her cancer was lost. She lost her battle to cancer a year later. There are times when I think about her as I pass that same spot in the store where we sat and talked. This past week, I visited a friend who has battled pancreatic cancer for 5 years. He's a record. Like myself, his battle is not only for himself, but for his 4 young children. The next morning, he was taken by ambulance to the hospital, where he is still there tonight. I also received an email this week about 2 friends who have recently been diagnosed with cancer. So cancer is all around us. That's why we are here tonight. We walk as survivors. We walk in celebration of family and friends who have survived cancer. We walk in memory of those who have gone before us. Tonight at 10, the track will be lit up with luminaries bearing the names of survivors and in memory of those who were not so lucky to win the battle against cancer. There will be several names out there I will know, as will you. Let's not forget what we are here for. It's a royal reunion, and together we survivors will celebrate life. And as we go home from this event, don't forget those who are where we are, and reach out to them. Offer them support. Believe me, it will give you great satisfaction. I truly appreciate the thoughts, the prayers, and the support I received from my family and friends. Keep the faith, and bless you all.